Joel Harden is a cisgender heterosexual white man. He is a regional politician in Canada representing Ottawa. And Mr. Harden is an ally to the LGBTQ and Two-Spirit community. But Mr. Harden is not simply someone who knows some queer folk or who doesn't say mean things about LGBTQ plus and Two-Spirit people. And he's certainly not someone who says he loves queer folk and then supports policies that harm them. No, Mr. Harden, who just on Thursday spoke to the Ontario legislature about the importance of protection for trans and queer youth, shares some of the risks that queer folk face. That's what allies do. They give up some privilege and they take on some risk for their friends. That's what alliance is. And recently, he was at an anti-trans rally in Ottawa. Now, the reason he and some others attended the hateful rally was because they suspected trans activists would be there to counter the anti-trans protesters, and Harden and others wanted to help keep the transgender folk safe. It included quite a few youth, in fact. There were about 80 anti-trans protesters at the rally, and they would approach trans people, including youth, in attempts to intimidate them. And the allies would step in to create safe distance between the aggressive anti-trans folk and those they wanted to frighten. Well, the anti-trans people were shouting obscenities at and about transgender people, including the youth, and Harden described the taunts as absolutely vile. He would not repeat them to reporters, but he said that's how horrible they were, that he wasn't willing to repeat them. Someone grabbed a young woman by the hair at the protest, and Harden intervened, just stepped in so that they couldn't be pulling her hair. And he was then punched in the back of the head and in the face. Mr. Harden shared on Twitter, as incidents of hate against the LGBTQ plus community are rising, we have a message for queer and trans youth. In this province, we see you, love you, value you, and we will not continue to let you be threatened by hate or bigotry. About his own experience of being attacked, Harden said, "I'll take a punch for queer and trans youth any day." Let's always thank our brave allies, and let's always have the courage to follow their example. Because if we are cisgender, our trans friends need our alliance. If we are male-identified, women whose rights and bodily autonomy are also under attack need our alliance. If we are safe and secure, people who aren't and become refugees, because even the thought of being turned away at a border is still worth trying to get out of the hell they're in. Those refugees need our alliance. When we see systemic racism thriving and racist policies being proposed as if this were the 50s, people of color, BIPOC people need the alliance of Caucasian and white people of European descent. When we see someone being othered, when we see someone being vilified, when we see someone experience oppression or marginalization or injustice, those of us who are free of that in that moment need to step up. So yes, we thank our straight allies, and we are challenged by them to do what they do for other communities that need alliance. So let's always thank our brave allies, and let us also become brave allies. And may God's blessing be upon all allies. Amen.